Yep. Okay, there it is. Once I hit go live, it popped up scheduled event. All right, going live in three, two. Spread out this. All right, welcome in everybody. Gentlemen's Code, episode 6. Good morning. It's not our official date Thursday, but it's Wednesday, September 18th. I'll be traveling across the country tonight, back up to the homeland of Pennsylvania. But welcome in everybody to another episode of the Gentlemen's Code. Good morning, Pri. How you doing today?
Fantastic. I just had the audio coming through the computer. All right, hold on. Let me transition on the stream over here. Boom, we're live. What's going on, Bobby? So I'll do a
Good morning.
quick introduction on my side. So, episode 6, the Gentleman's Code. I know the big dogs, the heavy players, the people that want to come, get some live juice early in the morning, get their day started, start making some money. They're here live. Everybody from the Taylor's Code. Good to see you guys. Before we jump into everything, I just want to give a quick reminder to everybody. So the network right now, we have 250 members inside the Taylor's Code. So I just want to remind the people on the live stream that if you haven't joined yet, get inside the network so you can start to see the things behind the scenes that we're doing throughout the week. Because, yeah, we meet once a week, me and Bobby, to talk about the things that happened last week. But to see what's actually happening day by day inside of the Taylor's Code, the things that we're talking about in terms of making money, investments, doing e-commerce with Bobby, sales training with me, etc. Make sure that you're inside so you're not missing any of that stuff. But this is just a little Thursday, Wednesday meet up, let everybody know what the hell's going on in the world. And then we're back into the Taylor's Code and making money. So what's going on, Bobby?
Nothing much, brother. Yeah, this is a good catch up on current events, talking about businesses that are, you know, S&P 500 businesses that are out doing crazy stuff these days. We could catch up on AI, current events, politics, all that stuff. But yeah, Prama's right. If you're in the Taylor's Code, go check out my new course that is out. What is Bitcoin? It's a complete overview PowerPoint presentation I created that gives you the A to Z on what is Bitcoin. It goes through the history of Bitcoin, how it was founded, the technology behind it, and what you could do to get involved and get rich from it. So go check that out. That's in the Taylor's Code classroom section. So you'll see that what is Bitcoin there.
Yes.
But yeah, Priamo's definitely right. You want to get inside the Taylor's Code and see what we're talking about day to day, because that's where the meat is. That's where the good stuff is.
Yeah, for sure. And that's no homo, but the good stuff's in there for sure. But that's the thing, that the classroom is a fantastic resource for you guys that are in there already, because I've talked to a couple of the students inside, and they're asking me about where can I get the crypto stuff, or how can I start trading, how can I start doing sales, etc. And I say that I always direct them back to the classroom. I said, did you go into the classroom? Did you start learning because there's a no-cost course in there first for the crypto, just so that you can actually learn how to create wallets, understand what the different types of blockchains are, understand what the technology is, actually understand the fundamentals. So whenever you're investing into it, it's actually something that you're comfortable investing into because you know what it is. And then you can obviously jump into the things, the resources, like Bobby said, the Bitcoin resource. Then we're going to have other things going out into there too. So anyways, the big thing that everybody's expecting us to talk about, I'm sure, right? But we're not going to talk about it. No, just kidding. They tried to kill Trumpino again. So there's a lot of different directions we can take this, but obviously we got to talk about it. I want to hear your perspective first and what you think about the fact that they tried to assassinate Trump again. But then I'm going to give you my take on it and what it is that makes me think and what makes me, just the thoughts that get into my head whenever I think about the fact that something like that is happening right now. And I mean, when was the last time the president had an assassination attempt on him, let alone two, right?
Back to back. You said Drizzy back to back, and you still ain't gonna get me. Yeah, so I got a couple thoughts on this. And first of all, I think there's no place in the country, in any country, for political violence. That's stuff you see in, dictatorships and stuff you see in all kinds of crazy countries where their politics are a mess. This is the type of stuff you don't see in America and stuff you don't want to see in America because first of all, a lot of Americans have guns. So we know a lot of Americans are capable of shooting someone, especially high ticket like a politician, a senator, a governor, a president. So, first of all, there's just too many people out there that have access to guns that it sets such a bad precedent that, if someone you don't like is the president, you have a chance to go take a shot at him, you're going to do it. That shouldn't be a thing. It's bad ideology. It's that woke mind going on in these people's heads that, okay, yeah, well, he's the bad man. And I guess where I could start with this is that I think the news and the mainstream media has pictured Donald Trump in such a bad light over the past, I mean, it's going on 10 years now. He started running, what, 2015? I can't believe he's been in politics for almost 10 years now. So
Hmm.
that's crazy. But they painted him in such a bad light over all these years with Russia Gate and, all these courts, and he's a felon and he's all this stuff and it's just nonstop, nonstop. He's a threat to our democracy. They say that at least once a day on some news network that he's an existential crisis, they call it, to our democracy and I mean, he was the president for 4 years. I don't think the democracy fell, even though people talk about January 6th, but that's a whole nother conversation we could have. But
Hmm.
yeah, I think it's a terrible precedent to start when people are just going to go start shooting at the president. So the first time a young kid, probably naive, probably reading too much stuff on the internet, watching too much, someone who I don't know who he's watching, but that's a young mind. This time it's an older gentleman who appears to uh, be almost like a freedom fighter in Ukraine. He wanted to go over there and help Ukraine against Russia and all this stuff. So I think he had probably some underlying agendas in his mind that maybe, Trump said he wants to end the war. And this guy's like, no, we want Ukraine to win the war, whatever it could be. But I think that's probably what, was going on in this guy's mind. And he's like, oh, I gotta shoot Trump because he's going to end the war and we got to win the war. So just,
Hmm.
battling over his ideology against Trump. So I think, first of all, it's awful. And for them to do it on his golf course or try attempt to do it on his golf course is even crazier. It's like Trump's property. It's like it's trying to shoot him in his own house, pretty much. That's like
Right.
he lives on the golf course. You know this guy, right? So yeah, pretty crazy, terrible news. Again, it's something you never want to see. So hopefully, I saw that Trump and Biden were on the phone together, and Biden's giving him access to like more resources, the Secret Service. So hopefully,
You think?
luckily they caught this guy before he turned the corner to go to the next hole. So
Do you think he was actually talking to Biden, or do you think it was somebody else in Biden's administration? Because maybe they dialed him from Biden's cell phone, but what exactly was Biden telling him? I don't know if he was talking, being if
he's
he's
probably like, yeah, 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 we got you.
he's
Yeah,
he's
yeah,
probably
no
said,
problem.
"But Trump, did you see me put on your hat? You see that hat?" So so here's the thing with the second attempt, right? So I was thinking about it, and there were so many things that were popping up on social media that you don't really know 100% what's true. I saw the stuff about he was getting paid for by the Ukrainian government. I've seen things of him being at the rallies for Kamala, etc. All these different conspiracy theories in terms of what his motives were, etc., whatever. So I just look at it from a bigger picture perspective. So the first thing I thought of is, okay, regardless of who he's getting paid for, who's paying for him to do this, who are these people making these attempts, etc. What does this actually mean about Trump? So when was the last time that there was an assassination attempt on somebody? Do you remember? I personally, I should have done some research on this, but I don't remember who was the last president they tried to assassinate. Was it
I think it was Ronald
Reagan?
Reagan in the late 80s. He was
Hmm.
getting out of the car, and I think he was in New York City or Washington, D.C., and some guy ran up and shot him, but it didn't hit him anywhere that really would kill him, but it
Hmm.
hit him like in the shoulder and the side or something. But he survived.
So it's been a ridiculously long time. Not ridiculously long, what, since the 80s, right? I'm assuming
I
80s is
think so. I
Reagan.
think it was the 80s. Yeah.
Okay, so let's think of it like this. So no candidates, no presidents before or since Reagan have had an assassination attempt on them, let alone two. Okay. So then I say, all right, so irregardless of his policy and what his ideas are and whether or not you agree with him or you like his personality even, because I always hear people talk about, oh, I don't like his personality, the way that he talks. That's fine. I understand that. I get that. But is he good for the country, right? Which I'm not even saying necessarily, is he the best politician ever? I don't know, okay? But why are they trying to kill him is my question. That's the question you got to ask yourself. Why him specifically? Because if you think about it, whether they were Republican or Democrat, every single candidate since Reagan has not had an attempt on their life. Which, if it was irregardless of the side, the political spectrum that they were on, if nobody tried to kill them, then that meant, at least you would think, okay, the deep state, whoever you might think is trying to make these things happen, didn't see that as a person or a reason to go ahead and have them assassinated. For Trump, the first guy that's not a part of the political system, the political machine, whether it was Republican or Democrat, the first guy to come up out of nowhere and say, all right, you know what, I'm going to run for the people, okay, let's say, they tried to kill him twice. So what does that say, right? And the second thing I'll go to, too, is, so think about it like that. So why would they be trying to kill him? Who's trying to kill him? Okay, the first guy that's not a part of the political system. The second thing is, to be able to have two attempts on his life like that, it has to have been done or at least allowed by somebody that is a part of the deep state or in a CIA organization, etc. Why? Because you think about the type of technology the military has in the United States. You think about the stuff that's been declassified, that kind of technology. Now think about the stuff that hasn't even been declassified. All the information that they're able to get off of people's phones, all the surveillance that they do on everybody, all these incredible technologies that we've developed to be able to keep this country safe, right? You're telling me that somehow they slipped up twice and let somebody get that close to the president to be able to kill him? That doesn't make sense
That's
to me.
another conspiracy I heard is that there's a mole in the camp somewhere that, given intel, because they said that it wasn't public when Trump was supposed to go golfing that day. So I don't know how that guy found out. He has some kind of tracking mechanism. I don't know. How do you figure out where the way Trump's moving with
Right.
the amount of protection that he has? How do you figure that out? I don't
Right.
know.
And I agree. And I'm just saying, if we look at this as logical, independent minds and we say, okay, what's more likely? That there was somebody that was giving information to this guy so he knew to be there, or he just got lucky, or he did his own surveillance? It's just, no, it's probably not.
And I don't know if this is true or not, but I heard that guy was from Hawaii. So he's not even from Florida. He flew from Hawaii to Florida and then posted out. I think that's what someone said.
Right. And so, and that's the thing, the little details, I don't know.
Hmm.
Nobody really knows. There's so much shit that goes on social media, but just the bigger picture takeaways that you have to take from this is saying, okay, how did he figure this out? How did he know to be there? How did he know to set up there? How did he even get there, right? To be able to get into a position close enough to do that. And then number two, who's the one allowing this, right? Who's paying him? Who's giving the intel? Who's the one that wants Trump dead? That's the kind of questions you got to ask yourself. And so, and it's, we're starting to become desensitized to the hate and to the attempts on Trump, that I also flipped the roles and I said to myself, okay, but let's just imagine for a second that they tried to kill Kamala. I couldn't even rationalize that or think, how would the country
No.
react, or what would you don't even think that would be a possibility. Nah, they're not gonna do anything to Kamala. But to Trump, he's like, yeah, they're trying to kill Trump. So it's just interesting because you also have to understand that the U.S., this is how the U.S. operates in other countries. So it's not, in the US, we think we're so civilized, we're so first world that, oh, there's no way one of our presidents could be killed or assassinated. No, we're civilized here. This is democracy in the United States. But in reality, the United States and all of our, operations across the world in our world domination, attempt for world domination, right? Control and powers all over the world. We perform coups, government coups all the time. We kill leaders. We replace them with our people. We change, dictatorships or communist countries or whatever we can do to get them into democratic situations, and then we implement our leaders that we want. Like, this is a normal thing that the U.S. does: is kills political leaders that oppose their interests in other countries. So if we're willing to do that in other countries and that's our playbook and that's the way that we do it, then that's something that we would do in our own country if we felt like we had to, right?
Hmm. For sure. Yeah, I think that's possibly what we're seeing now. But touching on that subject, I think so. Going back to your first question of why would they do this? Why Trump? No other political candidate. Why would they do it to him? So I think it goes back to I'm gonna go back. So after Reagan in the 80s, we had George Bush Sr. So George Bush Sr. was a president, I believe, for 4 years, and then we had Bill Clinton. So George George Bush was a Republican who was known for big military. He wanted to expand the military, which he did successfully. He had I'm not I don't remember exactly what wars we were fighting in the 90s. I was just born. I was just a baby, but then that transitioned to Bill Clinton in the 90s as well, who was a Democrat. So I think these guys started off kind of with an agenda of what they wanted the military to look like, what they want foreign policy to look like, what they want control around the world to look like. So then you hand it off from George Bush to Bill Clinton, back to George W. Bush Jr., George Bush Jr., and then you roll it straight into Obama, and then that's when the Trump comes along and the hiccup, and now it's Biden and Kamala. So I think it kind of starts even way back further. People don't even think about because the first assassination attempt was on Reagan in the 80s, and then you kind of have these military guys who are Democrats and Republicans that are looking kind of to push their agenda, I think, on foreign policy. But then Trump comes along, and he's not really the guy that they could control anymore. He doesn't want to be part of the military industrial complex. He doesn't want to fight wars, and he doesn't want to spend all this money in places that it doesn't, seem fit.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's when they're like, well, we can't have him be the president. He doesn't fit our agenda for foreign policy, for wars, for the military. So that's what I think.
And that makes sense because you said the early 90s. That's also whenever NATO expansion became the thing that they were really trying to push, right, in Eastern Europe. The early 90s,
Hillary.
yes, the early 90s is when they started wanting to grow NATO. And so, and in the early 90s, it's whenever Gorbachev was in Russia, and then the power started to transition over. They transitioned over to Putin in the 90s as well. Or no,
Hmm.
was it early 2000s? Around end of the 90s, early 2000s, I believe, was Putin. But anyways, the point was is that that's whenever they started that NATO expansion, they wanted this foreign policy that was aggressive and expansive so that they had more control in that Eastern European territory, right? And, you know, it's interesting you said the military industrial complex. I mean, a lot of that has to do with it has to do a lot with the power that they give to the people at the top in politics because there's so much money involved in that mindset
Mm.
of expansion, of fighting wars, of growing influence, of continuing to dominate the world because the people at the top, the people who are actually generating these kinds of wars and this kind of need for expenses, need for spending are the ones who are enriching themselves from it. So, because at the end of the day, a government's just individuals. It's just people that are running a government. So the actual country itself, the actual government itself, these people don't necessarily have a loyalty to. They have a loyalty to themselves and their partners that they're getting rich off of, right? So again, when you have because every government, it's the same like any other entity. Over time, it's going to grow. That's just naturally what they do. So in order to stay in power and to continue to grow and continue to pay and feed all the mouths that are in the government and in all these agencies, they got to continue to expand the government, right? Which is what they're doing.
Yeah.
They're trying to expand themselves across the world. So, yeah, as soon as somebody that tries to get into power to stop these kinds of things and stop these types of wars, then obviously these people that are in power, the deep state, the administrative state that doesn't change every single 4 years, they're going to get upset by that because they're running their own show. And they're saying, hey, buddy, listen,
Hmm.
I know you're in here for the next 4 years, but here's how this shit really gets ran. I know you got all these big ideas and these big policies and these tax cuts and this foreign policy things that you want to implement, etc. But here's how we actually run the show. So just, relax. And that's how they
Yeah.
operate.
So I saw something interesting too that was saying that the Cold War in Russia might not have actually ever ended. It's just taking on a new phase of this Cold War that's been going on for forever between the US government and the Russians is that so we had the space race that was a big thing. It was the Cold War, and then we had the space race, the US versus the Russians, with spaceships trying to, get people to space and then to the moon, and we did that. And after that kind of cooled off, they're saying that the Russians and the U.S. aren't in a Cold War anymore. But what this one guy was saying was that what you just touched on, NATO, that was kind of a strategic shift from the Americans and NATO towards Russia. So they wanted to group up and then start expanding that way towards Russia. And you're seeing it in all different forms. So specifically with Ukraine, Ukraine is very important in terms of it's right next to Russia, has major US influence, US, I mean, Hunter Biden was on an energy company board of directors.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, why is he on the board of directors of an energy company in Ukraine? Tell me
Why,
how that fucking
why,
makes sense.
why he's doing crack in the in after hours.
Like seriously. So there's so much stuff that, is not out there in the public that it doesn't make sense.
It's all a game. It's all a game. And what people got to understand too is that if a 10-year-old is willing to cheat at a game of Monopoly just to win at something that's fake money, fake property, that's not real, it's just a game. You don't think that people who are literally running the largest, most powerful economies in the entire globe aren't going to do a little bit of finessing, a little bit of finagling, a little bit of famoosing to make a couple extra bucks? Of course they're going to do that shit. That's how the world works. And to operate in a way that you believe that that's not true is not only incompetent, but it's ignorant. No, you got to understand that this is just what people do. So the question is now for a gentleman, guys like you and me, people who want to, have the freedoms to do what we want to do, and the people inside the Taylor's Code who want to have the freedoms to do what they want to do. You got to understand, well, how do I play this to the best of my abilities? Okay. So the entire world, not just your country, but the way that you got to look at a world and a global perspective is this is a chessboard. Where am I at on the chessboard? And then what's my best possible move? And so you guys say to yourself, in my current country, in my current state, is this place improving? Is it getting better? Do these people have my best interests at heart for the way that I want to live? Does it make the most sense for me to be located here, or do I go somewhere else? And this is again something that we probably talked about before on these episodes. Is now for me at this point, I'm getting to the point where long term, I don't even see myself being in the United States because I don't see myself being the most competitive in this country long term, right? Especially depending on how this election goes and how the country continues to unravel itself. I see it as a decline. I see that right now we're declining. So why would I want to be here for the next 20, 30 years raising a family in a country that I believe is declining? I would want to go somewhere that's improving, right? Getting better so that long term my family's in a better situation than we were before. And that's the way you got to look at the world. Is you got to look at the world on a global scale. Money on a global scale, moving on a global scale, not just where you're at in your country. Don't become imprisoned to a piece of land that you grew up on, right?
Another important part with that too, if people that are thinking about that same thoughts you are, is that the US uses money as a weapon of war now too. It's not weapons. They use the financial system that they've built against other countries. So Russia, when they first attacked Ukraine, the US as we is they cut off, they did all these different things. They just pretty much cut them off to be able to trade oil with the US, trade all this different stuff. So it hurts their economy financially. So then you cut them off. And then if people were working with Russia, the US, now targets them to say, okay, if you're going to buy oil from Russia, Germany, like we're not going to protect you in NATO. You're going to get budget cuts because why are you buying oil from Russia in large quantities when you're supposed to be our ally? Like you're supposed to be buying our oil and we're supposed to. So it's things like that too. It's wars of financial. So they were trying to make their country the richest. So you have to take that into account too.
100%. So, and in the similar realm, but to start transitioning into something money related, because so another thing that's a big deal when it comes up to these elections within the United States are going to be these economic data sets that they put out. So today, Big Daddy Jerome Powell, right? He's dropping what the new the new interest rate cuts are going to be. Okay, so everybody's deciding between, is it going to be 0.25%? Is it going to be 0.5%? Half a basis point cut on the interest rates. And so it's interesting to see the way that these interest rates are being cut after they were raising the rates to combat inflation since COVID, because the election's coming up, so it's very, very possible. I'm sure it's in the realm of possibility that they're gaming the data to be more favorable to the administration that's in there right now, to see how this affects markets. Because now that they're starting to cut these interest rates, which is making money cheaper to borrow now, so you people understand what they do with the interest rates is whenever inflation is out of control and really high, they raise interest rates. The Fed will raise interest rates in order to deter people from loaning themselves more money or loaning more
Yeah.
money. Okay.
Slow the market down per se. Just slow it down. Not as many people could buy. You don't have enough money.
So as they're starting to make money cheaper now, that's what they're starting to do. Is now they're trying to reverse, not trying to, they are reversing the rate hikes. It's interesting to see how this is going to affect the market moving forward now, because these economic data points that come out do influence not only the stock market but then the crypto market as well. And so, you could argue two different ways. As they start to drop the interest rates, it's cheaper money, so you could argue that's bullish because people are going to have more money in hand to be able to go ahead and spend in the markets. On the other hand, though, if Jerome Powell decides to drop the rates by 0.5%, half a basis point, people are arguing that could be bearish for markets. Why? Because if the Fed starts cutting rates at a faster or higher rate than what was anticipated, that could signal that something's broken in the system. Therefore, okay, we were cutting by 0.25%, but now we got to cut by 0.5% because something's fucked up, something's happening that the people don't know about. So we got to cut it by 0.5%. So I'm interested to see what he actually does today and how the markets react to it. I'm paying attention right now. I don't know if you knew he was doing that economic data today, but I don't know if you have anything to comment on that. But oh,
Yeah. So a couple points on that. I think a lot of the economy, I think, is driven by the labor force. And we all know that, people have to go to work. People work for companies that eventually flow into the stock market and then, investing and being people want to buy houses. So I think there's two major problems the US has now, which is fixable, but it's going to be tougher after what this administration did. So first thing is the labor market. So like the job market. I know a lot of people that don't have jobs right now, and it's tough to get one. And I think when you import millions of immigrants from around the world, and you bring them in, what are they going to do? They need jobs. Even like I don't know, are these people like a lot of them don't speak English? Are they competent to like have jobs? Or what are they going to do? Are they just going to sit at home and just get checks from the government? Like, what are these people going to bring to value? So I think they should all, of course, everyone should have a job that's capable. If you're a 20-year-old man from Indonesia and you just showed up in the United States and you don't want to get a job, it's just like, what are you doing? You need to, partake in the economy. So that's the first thing. I think there's a lot of people out there that don't have jobs that can't get jobs, and the job market's stagnant. The second thing is the housing market, and there's not enough housing. So first of all, we don't have enough workers, like I just said, but we also don't have enough houses to house people. So it's just like and this comes to my final point, which is we need more manufacturing in the United States. Americans need to make more stuff. It's that simple. When
mhm.
you start degal degal de delegating your tasks to all other countries. So you start manufacturing in China, in India, in Bangladesh, in Taiwan, and you start making them make our stuff and we import everything. It's making the price of all that stuff more expensive, and you're not giving your people jobs. So nobody in America is making anything. We're all service providers and we're all, finance, tech. It's just, everyone wants to be the top upper echelon. But realistically, there's people need to be out there hammering two by fours and laying carpet and doing shingles. Like we need more of those people, plumbers and mechanics. But they're hard to come by these days. And
Hmm.
that's why I know we've talked about it before. The trades are going to come back around, and people who are plumbers and start their own plumbing business for houses, and they're going to be wealthy because they've gotten to a skill when there wasn't a lot of people that could do it.
Hmm.
So I think Americans need to start building more stuff, houses, even our own cars. Start making more cars. Who cares? Like, so that's my take on it.
Yeah.
This we need more manufacturing and
And so,
just more housing.
and so, what's so interesting about the thing you said about pouring people into the country illegally that they're doing right now? I was thinking about this because, again, as a business owner, somebody who pays people to do jobs, right? I think to myself, I say, all right, why would it make sense to be pouring all these illegal immigrants into the country, just having people show up on boats, on planes, et cetera, et cetera? It makes sense why they're doing it if you look at it from a strictly economic business mind. Just look at it for what the numbers are. What has happened in the U.S. and this is what has happened. And I'll tell you why I know this to be true in the way that I do business. In the U.S., what has happened is the population, the slave population that they try to make go to work for the rest of their life for until they're 65 years old to get a they don't even have pensions for people anymore to have your 401k whatever. The expensive, or it is making it so expensive for companies to be able to operate within the United States. This is also why manufacturing, like you were talking about, got sent to other countries, is because the U.S. is making it so cheap for them to do it, and so businesses are going to do what's best for them for their profit margin. So they're going to go ahead and outsource their shit to another country. So what they're doing with the illegal immigrants and the people that are pouring into this country is, oh, now you can just go ahead and start taking people who are willing to work for pennies on the dollar compared to the current population and do it without benefits, do it illegally, do it under the table, and now they make way more money, the businesses, and the people that are coming into the country, they're happy because they're making US dollars now and they're sending it back to their home country where the US dollar is
Hmm.
blowing their native currency out of the water. So now they're making all this money in USD, but in reality, people in the US are paying them dirt cheap. So
Yeah.
it's just it's a great way to get cheap labor, and it's a great way to get votes for your party. And if you make it fucking you don't have voter IDs at a voting booth, which is absolutely fucking insane that you wouldn't require an ID to vote, but you would require an ID to drive a car, to be able to buy alcohol, buy cigarettes, like the most basic things in life you need identification for, but not to vote. It's fucking stupid.
Yeah.
That's just stupid. But so the point I was making with the cheap labor, and the reason I know this to be true is because I do the same thing as a business owner. You do the same thing as a business owner. Guess who's the guy who runs our YouTube? He's our YouTube manager, YouTube page manager, who does all of our tags, keywords, all that kind of stuff. Dude's from Indonesia or Bangladesh. Where the hell's he from?
Hmm. I think he's Bangladesh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Bangladeshi. He's working for $5 an hour, guys. He's killing it. He's destroying it. You hire somebody in the U.S. to do that same exact job. He's going to do the same thing that this guy in Bangladesh is doing. He's going to charge you $20 an hour, $30 an hour. So
I
naturally, what do you
had
think the businesses are going to do?
that one guy reach out to us. He wanted 1,200 for a week's worth of work. And it's just an American kid trying to make a couple bucks, 1,200
Yeah,
for the same thing that the guy in Bangladesh is doing for $5 an hour, $75 a week, because I pay 15 hours a week. So I
exactly.
mean,
So you understand. So I understand what they're doing. They're saying, well, if I'm paying people minimum wage of whatever 7.25 or $10 an hour or whatever it is or whatever it's going to be, why wouldn't I just import a bunch of illegal immigrants and who are going to work for $5 an hour and under the table? Boom, no drama. Boom, 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 boom,
yeah,
boom. So it makes sense, and I do the same thing with one of the students inside the Taylor's Code who's making fucking thousands of dollars a month. Ollie, he's in the UK, right? Boom, send him crypto. Boom, send money across the world. It doesn't have to be somebody in the U.S., right? Who wants benefits and wants salary and all this extra other shit. It's just it's it makes sense business wise. Business wants to be able to profit as much as possible. If they can get cheaper labor to do the same exact work, as a businessman, what are you going to do? You're going to take the cheaper labor.
yeah. It's just going to increase the profits across the board, and that's what these companies are trying to do. So my question is, how do we combat prices? Because it all comes down to prices to buy things. Because even if you're making, let's use an example of someone who went to college, paid $100,000 for a degree, and then they go on to get a corporate job in America, and they make good money. Let's say they make 70,000, 75,000 a year, right? So they're in an entry level job. They're 20, our age, 27, 28, 29, 30 years old, and they make $75,000 a year. Okay. Okay, and then compare that against an immigrant who got here who's working a roofing job making 12 bucks an hour. Maybe at the end of the year it comes out that he makes like 40,000. What really separates these two is not really how much money they make, but it's how much money they spend. So if the person who makes $75,000 a year lives in an apartment and they pay 1,500 a month for rent, and then this this person who's doing roofing for 12, 15 bucks an hour also lives in an apartment that costs 1,100 bucks, slightly cheaper, but not that much. They're really not that far apart in terms of money equality because he's paying less for his expenses in terms of housing that he might split, with someone he came with to America or whatever. So this is the point we're getting at, that things aren't that far away where people that come here can make a living for themselves because it's about how much you spend. So if you're spending money on things you can't afford, like a car or a expensive apartment, or you're going out drinking and you're going out to fancy restaurants that you can't afford, you're going to put a burden on yourself and other people are going to be able to catch up. So I think the point I'm trying to make is that you have to understand that, like you said, the chess game is like, where's the money flowing? So the money's going to start flowing to lower class citizens, and hopefully they could, make more profit for the companies and everyone else. It could funnel down the system that the corporate employees could start making more money, and it has to be a full team effort because it's not a full team effort right now. I feel like some people are lagging behind.
And so the point you were making about the spending too, so that's an important point for the people that are paying attention to, and the people that are learning from us, is that your income is important. Income is important. The bigger income that you have, the better. Always better to have a bigger income. But I know broke people that make hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. So think about that. I know broke people who are always broke, who make hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. Okay. Why is that? What you just said. Because it doesn't matter how much money you make, it's always spent. The account's always empty. Everything always gets allocated. As soon as you make a couple extra bucks, oh, great, I got a couple extra bucks. Well, I needed to spend it on this. I need to buy this. I need to upgrade that. And I need to. It's just that lifestyle inflation over time. As you make more and more money, typically people suffer from lifestyle inflation. Okay. So what you have to understand is an individual that's trying to break out of the system, and somebody who's trying to actually put themselves in a position to be free, right? People always say financially freedom, whatever. Basically, freedom for me is freedom of location, freedom to do what you want, freedom to say what you want. So in order to get to that point, it's more important for you to be able to stockpile cash and actually start saving and investing money than it is to, worry about making $1 million a year. Even if you have just a regular job right now, great, you have an income. Don't spend all of your money. Have as much money as humanly possible that you're stockpiling, putting into a bank account, putting into a high yield savings account, whether it's 5%, 4.5%, whatever it may be. And then once you have 20, 30, 50 grand, 100 grand that you've saved up as quickly as possible, now you start allocating to other things. Now you start to get into the crypto game. So you learn about investing. You learn how to make money in crypto. You make some long-term plays. Next thing you know, over a year or two, you turn 20 grand into 100 grand, or you turn 50 grand into 200 grand. Just get a couple of X's on your money. Now you're fucking playing. You got 200 grand now. Guess what? Now you can start to get into rental properties. Now you can start to buy investments, etc. So it's not about, you want to have a big income for sure. The bigger the income, the nicer things that you can afford in terms of just recurring expenses monthly. But it's all about the money that you keep. Can you actually keep any of the money that you're making? That's the game. I know people who make plenty of money. They're broke as fuck. So,
And the thing is, I think if you have to spend money. This is how the world works. But spend money on yourself. Like spend money on things that are gonna enrich your life and make your life better. In terms of knowledge, in terms of, like you said, free time or starting a business. There's lots of things, even $100. You could start a business with $100. These are things that we teach inside the Taylor's Code. You want to start an online clothing brand. Okay, go get $1 a month Shopify account, load up some pictures of the product you want to sell, take the pictures in your bedroom, upload it, and you could start selling something online for $1. a month. It's not that hard. And if you want to do other things, if you want to start a podcast, go get $15 headphones from Best Buy, go get a $50 mic and go start your podcast. Like there's nothing stopping you. It's a couple bucks. And I know
Hmm.
if you go to Chipotle and get two bowls with a side of chips and guac, it's going to be $35. So
Hmm.
you could spend your money everywhere. So why not spend it on things that are going to make you money?
Right.
That's the key. Rich people spend money on things that make them more money. So that's what you have to start thinking about.
Exactly. And people and it, that's what I'm saying. People care so much about their fucking Chipotle. They don't understand if you just don't eat that dog shit for a month and you save that $200 for the month, you just eat at home, take that $200 like you were just saying, get a membership to the Taylor's Code, get with Bobby, open a Shopify store, have him start selling products with you on that Shopify store. All of a sudden, you take that $200 that you spent on the $1 for the Shopify store, maybe a couple of products to test with that $200. Boom, you're up and running, baby. You're fucking cooking. Next thing you know, you're making an extra $1,000 a month just because you put $200 down to be able to start a Shopify store with Bobby. Okay, now you're making an extra $1,000 a month. So $1,000 a month for the next 12 months is $12,000 a year. So you turn $200 into $12,000 for the year. Guess what? How much fucking Chipotle can you buy now? You can buy more Chipotle, right? But all you had to do is sacrifice it for 1 month so you could make more money. So then you could allocate more money to Chipotle if that's really what you care about. But that's how people fucking think. They think that I need to spend all my money on the shit that I need. If you would just cut back on the shit that you say that you need, which you really don't, it's bullshit. You don't need all that shit. I'm telling you, everybody spends money on dumb shit. Start allocating some of that money that makes you nothing and allocate it to things that are going to make you something, right? If you have a Netflix subscription right now and you're not a multimillionaire, I don't know what the fuck you're doing with your life. It's like, you take that $15, that $20 a month that you're spending on Netflix ain't going to get you rich. So take that $20, get a subscription to the Taylor's Code and actually start making some more money, right? Then you can have 10 accounts. You can have your 10 girlfriends all have their own Netflix accounts, okay? It's like, good for you. But make
Yeah.
money with the money that you have. People don't think
That's
like
a
that.
That's another thing is that these companies are trying to not only take your money, but they're trying to take your time. So they don't want you working on your business. They want you watching the new show out on Netflix. They want you watching, college football. ESPN wants you watching college football all day on a Saturday. They don't want you to go out and build your own business. They want you watching their product. So once you start taking control of your time and your money, and you really make an effort, that's when I noticed my life changed. When I really started putting my foot down and say no, started saying no, like I have to do this. No, I'm not doing that because it costs XYZ. That's when I noticed that exponential increase in not only my mental health, because I felt like I was in control of my life, but it's financially, I was able to see the dollars where they were going. And that just helps me mentally because I know where my money's going and what I'm doing with my time is what I actually want to be doing.
That's such a great point. You saying that when you know or when you feel that you have the power to make decisions and you are making your own decisions, you feel so much better, right? And that's a great point because this is something that my grandfather felt this way, my father feels this way, and I'm the same exact way as this. My mindset has always been if I made the decision for myself on something, I can live and die by those consequences. I don't feel any certain type of way. If I make a decision and I know it was me who made that decision, even if it was a poor outcome or it was a poor decision, I feel happy. I'm pleased with the fact that at least I made the decision myself. No big deal. What the worst feeling in the world is for me, and for I'm sure for a lot of other people, is when you only do things and you make decisions based on what you think other people want you to do or what other people are forcing you to do, that will make you a miserable person. Because not
Yeah.
only are you not getting the desired outcome that you want, but you're not even the one making the inputs. So you don't even feel like you have control of your life. And that's whenever you get depressed and anxious and pissed off and angry at the world. It's because you're sitting here thinking, fuck, everybody's forcing me and telling me what to do, but I have no control over my life. When in reality, you do. But I will always live that way. I'll make the decisions for myself because I know what's best for me. It's a poor
Mhm.
decision. If I fuck up, if I get a bad outcome, no big deal. But you're not going to tell me how to live my life. You're not going to force me how I'm going to live my life. No, I know the
That's a great point.
decisions. Hmm.
Yeah, that's a great point. One of my biggest pet peeves is people that are in a job right now that they hate. And all they do is they just complain about it. Oh, my job, I have to go to work, this, that, this, that. Like, get a new job.
Yeah,
Nothing's
do something
stopping
about
you.
it.
It's the marketplace. The people pay you for what you're worth. So if you think you're worth XYZ, go interview at another company. Maybe they'll pay you. Maybe you'll have a better work-life balance. Maybe you'll, make more money. So people that are complaining about the job they have, it's just that's one of my biggest pet peeves is only you could change that. The company's not gonna be like, oh, well, Priamo's not happy. Let's let him go. He's not happy.
Yeah, you're
Like,
mad.
no, they're
You're mad about your job. You're the one who fucking applied for it. Like, what are you
yeah, you're the
talking
one that
about?
goes there every day. No one's forcing you to go.
It's exactly. It's that mindset. It's that mindset of complain. Woe is me. I'm a feather in the wind. I don't control anything that happens in my life. That's why you're miserable. You believe that there's nothing you can do to change it. I hate. Yeah. If you hang around people who always have a negative perspective on things, you're gonna be that next person is gonna be negative. Negative people don't have positive outcomes. It's not possible. Negative people aren't going to have positive outcomes. So if you want to have a positive outlook on life, a positive future, well, you got to believe that everything's great. And if it's not great, you have the power to do something about it. Okay? So, like you said, you don't like your job? Quit then. I didn't like my job as an engineer. They were trying to make me get injections, the fucking COVID jab, because they want me to take, oh, now we're fucking YouTube. We're gone.
Uh-oh.
Man.
All right, we'll see you next week.
See you next week, guys. They're gonna put a disclaimer at the bottom of the YouTube
They do
video.
that.
Yeah.
They do that.
COVID-19 was real. You should have had 9 booster injections. Da, 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 da. Anyways, so I didn't take the vaccine because I said this is fucking stupid. If I'm young, I'm healthy. This doesn't feel right. I'm not taking this vaccine. So my job to be able to not have a mask in the office, they were making you show your fucking vaccine card. Oh, which one did you get? The Pfizer, Moderna, the fucking gay. And making a show to the HR lady. And the HR lady would come up to me every day like, hey, Priyama, did you bring in your card today? Every day I tell her, oh,
Oh my
no,
God.
didn't bring it in. Sorry. Oh, okay. Can you bring it in tomorrow? Yeah, I'll bring it in. Fuck you. So I never brought it in. But that was one of the reasons I quit my job was I said, this is ridiculous. I have to come into an office and show you if I got vaccinated. First of all, I'm pretty sure that's a HIPAA violation. And then,
Yeah.
okay, so I thought medical information was supposed to be private. Okay. And so whether you want to know if I got a vaccine or not, kick rocks. And anyways, so the point I was making is I didn't like that situation. I didn't like being controlled or feeling like I was in an environment where I had to, we talk about being able to control your body, ladies, right? To do whatever you want with fucking abortion, but I can't control my body to whether or not I get a vaccine inside of me, right? What happened to owning our bodies or to being able to do what we want with our bodies? Yeah, see how they flip flop on that shit. So that's why I got out of there. I quit my job. I said, all right, fuck this. I'm out of here. I'm going to go work for myself. I'm going to go get into business commission somewhere where I can actually work for myself, make my own money, and not have to worry about somebody telling me whether or not I can fucking come to work, if whether or not I got a fucking jab in my arm.
Yeah, that's craziness that they did all that.
Yeah.
Because when I that was like after we graduated college and our like our I don't want to say our generation because it was pretty much only like a year to 2 years, but like our age and then even the year after us, when we graduated school, it was like the world was shut down. So that was their way to get you back into work. Oh, you want this job? Okay, get the vaccine and then you could come to work, you could be an intern, you could do all this stuff. So yeah, that was crazy that they did that.
Yeah, it's insane. It just shows you the level that they're willing to go to enforce things, which this brings up another great point. So I think about this too with guns. So this in the past has been a huge point of debate in politics, and I haven't heard about it much recently. But you hear videos of politicians talking about doing the buyback fucking policy, whenever they buy back assault weapons or banning assault weapons, all these kind of things in the United States. You have to understand that the whole reason that the right to bear arms is in the Constitution is because once you take the arms away from the people, the common man, the good people, you not only monopolize who has weapons, but now you completely take all the power away from the population. They can no longer defend themselves. So the idea of de-arming the citizens is a horrible, horrible idea for the people.
Hmm.
You want the common man, the good man, to have access to something so that he can not only defend himself, but the group, the populace, to defend themselves from the country. All that's going to happen if you make guns illegal, which is I, it's just so foolish is because as a 14-year-old, a 13-year-old growing up, weed was illegal. Guess what? You could get weed. Coke was illegal. You could get coke. You could get whatever. You could, as a kid, people in a neighborhood where I grew up, people I knew, they could get a gun as a kid. Okay? So you're telling me now you're going to make guns illegal and there's more guns in the United States than there are human beings and people aren't going to still get guns? No, all you're doing is just letting the bad guys still get guns, and now the good people can't have them. The people who are going to abide by the law. It's foolish. You can't take powers and liberties away from the people. That's how you oppress them.
So on that note, I had something that I wanted to touch on before we end today, and it's kind of around the Second Amendment and kind of what we've been talking about. This guy was a gangster back in the day. His name was James Swan. So he was born in Scotland and moved to the United States in 1735. And he was part of the Boston Tea Party, was part of
Stud.
the Revolutionary War, was shot twice during the Revolutionary War. And
Stud.
then once America became a country, he became a successful shipping entrepreneur. So he built ships in between Europe and the United States and made a fuck ton of money. But a lot of people don't know this, that in 1795, he actually paid off the United States debt to France because during the Revolutionary War, the French helped the Americans become independent and all this, but they used the same tactic that America uses now. So like, oh, we helped you win the war. You have to pay us back for this, this, and this, sending our troops, sending our equipment. So the United States had debt to France. But what this gangster did is he said, I'm rich. I love America. I'm just going to pay the debt off. And he paid the debt off to America, to France
Big
in
dog.
1795.
Big dog.
I thought that was fascinating. How many billionaires do you see that today that'll pay off the United States debt?
It's not fucking possible. It's fucking trillions of dollars. it's There's not enough money in the world to pay it off. But yeah, that's gangster. That's a
Yeah.
gangster, bro. Fought in the Revolutionary War, Boston Tea Party, big dog. I mean,
He lived in Boston.
yeah, the Boston Tea Party is so interesting too, just about the taxation and how people were so willing to just revolt over taxation. And then nowadays, the government will take 50% of your income, and people are like, raise taxes. Are you out of your fucking mind? People are so foolish. Why? In what world does it make sense to give half of your money to the government? It doesn't make. Anyways, it's a completely different rabbit hole. But so what's the whole purpose of all this? Because I know you gotta go soon, right? So
Yeah, 9. I gotta cut it at 9.
just to wrap it up a little bit for those of you that are inside of the university, right? We talk about all these things and the mindset that you got to have in terms of what's happening in your country, how to make money, etc. You got to now take the information that you have, information that everybody else has access to, and say, okay, I can't actually personally change this situation. Okay, I can't change the way that my country operates right now in my current state. But what am I able to do to best put myself in a position to free myself from not only this country's borders, but to free myself from that financial system in which you're embedded in? And so that's when it comes to just the answer is always going to be make money. Find something that you can use to make money and scale it so that when you have money, you now have the freedom to go ahead and choose what you want to do with your situation in your life. And that's the point. So get with Bobby, open up your e-commerce store, start generating sales, start making money. It really does not cost as much as you think it would. And you don't even want to spend a lot of money whenever you first start a business. The point is not to put yourself in the hole. The point is to put the money in that you need to be able to start it up, get the mentorship, build it out, and go make an income. Scale that out. If you want to get with me and learn how to do sales, get into a sales industry, get a sales opportunity, start your own sales company, get with me. I'll show you how to do that. It's not something you're going to spend $100,000 to do like a college degree, and then you can make hundreds of thousands of dollars making sales and commissions, right? But get yourself in a position to start making money. You need to make more money is the point.
Yeah. My kind of final points here that I'll wrap up with is, what you said before. In terms of freedom, you want your freedom to be geographically wherever you want, say whatever you want, and have your own time. You don't want to work. You don't want to put too much. I mean, obviously, you need a job to make money, but you don't want to give all your time to somebody else's business and watch them reap the rewards of all your hard work. So find a way to make your own money, and then what you do with that money is, I don't think buying a house is a good investment right now. I think diversifying your actual currency is one of the best things you could do right now. So take your US dollar, put it into Bitcoin, put it into Ethereum, put it into other assets, gold, even gold. Gold's at an all-time high right now. If you bought gold last year this time, you're living large.
Hmm.
So find ways to diversify your money. That way, when you do want to go somewhere, do something, you're not geographically constrained to one place like the United States. If you want to go to Italy and you want to go to Japan and you want to go all these places, you want to have freedom of time. You want to not be locked into a mortgage where you're paying thousands of dollars a month to be somewhere, in the United States. You're locked in there. If you rent, you have the flexibility to go out. Once leases are usually like a year long. So once that year is up, you have the freedom to do whatever you want. If you want to Airbnb a place for 3 months to see if you like a new city in Los Angeles or Texas, or you want to go to New York City for 3 months, like you have the flexibility without having to be a resident of Los Angeles and pay their taxes, or go to New York and be a resident and pay their taxes. There's ways around this stuff. You could live in a state like Florida, like I do, pay zero state income tax, but still have the freedom to go wherever you want, do whatever you do. And that's just my philosophy. That's how I'm trying to build my life is, live where it's cheap, but travel where you want with the freedoms and the money that you've earned. So
I agree.
that's all I got.
I agree 1000%. Make US dollars one of the best currencies in the world to live somewhere where you can live like a king, right? Be intelligent. You don't want to make US dollars and live in the most expensive city in the world whenever you're trying to get rich in the first place. All you're doing is indebting yourself while when you could be putting yourself in a position to actually make yourself rich if you just lived simply on a different piece of land somewhere else in the world, right? The same exact person making the same income as rich in one part of the world compared to being poor in another part of the world. It just depends on where you choose to be.
Hmm.
So beautiful. Bobby, outside of that, I'm ready to rock. The Taylor's code, the link is in the description below the YouTube video. So make sure you guys join in if you haven't
Hmm.
already. The price is going to be going up as soon as we hit either 250 or 300 members. I have to check with Bobby and see where we're at with that.
I think we're at 250 now. So
Okay, so probably at 300 will be the next increase if I haven't already increased it for 250. But every 50
okay.
members, the price is increasing. So jump in now before you get to the next increase, and you'll be locked in at that current subscription. Okay. Outside of that, it's fucking rock, Bobby. Let's go make some money.